Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about the overall crypto market and also addressing the Bitcoin nuke, and then we're going to be talking about where I'm currently really positioned at in this market and where I foresee things going. But with that in mind, I hope that you guys can hit that like button. It does take only a couple seconds and it helps the channel grow immensely, and of course you guys already know that I do greatly appreciate it. Now with this in mind, on the 24-hour span, we are seeing some altcoins still holding a little bit strong, but I foresee altcoins taking a little bit of back seat. I said this yesterday, and when we talk about things on the 7-day span, we are seeing some altcoins having those diminished returns now on the 7-day span on the macro view. And in terms of Bitcoin, right? We've been watching Bitcoin closely and addressing it in terms of its levels that it could come down to. I've been seeing a lot of talk about, Bitcoin coming down to like 20 some K. We'll be addressing that and also talking about that. So let's just jump on. Let's not waste any time. Let's talk about a few things. So first off, the fear and greed index, this does update in about 2 hours and 44 minutes. We've seen this hit about 28 in terms of just fear. It is no longer at extreme fear, but I foresee this getting to the point of extreme fear. I don't think that we've seen enough of a shakeout yet within this market, and we will talk about that. But I do believe that, buyer exhaustion has, hit. I think that a lot of people are kind of not buying right now. They're, scared. They're worried. That's exactly why I felt confident buying over the weekend. I just felt like it was a good time to really kind of enter into some positions because, hey, I love to buy blood. Blood is the best time to buy. You don't want to buy when everything is green. Everyone's saying Lambo, mansion, this, that, yacht. So with this in mind, we do want to talk about capitulation, right? So because I've been talking to you guys about Bitcoin going here, going there for a while, let's talk about the unlikely scenario of Bitcoin. So we do see here my Bitcoin Confluence floor model worst case scenario is currently at 28.1K, almost 28.2K. Remember, this model has never had a single daily close below it in the history of Bitcoin. Intraday wicks could be lower. Now, in terms of Bitcoin, a lot of people have been addressing and talking about, some levels. For example, we do see, the 200-day EMA at about like almost 27K down there. And then, of course, we do see, a few other levels. Like, for example, this wick going back to January, it was roughly at about like 27.8K, almost 27.9K. We see the top wick here at 28.3K. Could we come down this low? Yeah, but is it likely in terms of a scenario? No. I've said multiple times, if we do get a test of some sort of nice level, it would either be the demand zone of the weekly candle from July 26th, which would be at about 35.5K. Between that level and about 38.2K is my bottoming point on Bitcoin. I don't believe that we go too much lower from there. So if anything, just so I could highlight it and just so that you guys could have a reminder for when I do talk more so about Bitcoin throughout the week, you guys are reminded of this level that we possibly could wick down to. This is, in my opinion, a perfect demand zone. I don't believe that we go lower than this. Is it possible to have slight wicks? Yeah, sure. But in the case of Bitcoin, I think everybody is awaiting these levels. In fact, I think that everyone wants below 30K for Bitcoin right now, but that's just not the scenario that I'm looking at. We've actually seen, and I did search up Bitcoin nuke on Twitter just to see where everyone's at, and we are seeing a lot of, hey, a Bitcoin nuke is probable. Hey, Bitcoin is going to nuke because of this, because of that. Where's the bears at? I have a very strong feeling Bitcoin is about to nuke. Bitcoin is a cyber force, not merely money. It is a nuke resistant. Well, that's just like basically talking about bullish scenarios around it, but you guys do get the idea here. A lot of people are waiting for Bitcoin to just continue to slide down and hit those low targets. But in my opinion, that's where everyone foresees things going. I actually tweeted out recently talking to you guys about Bitcoin, specifically going back to the March of 2020 lows. We came down and tested about like 3,900, right? Now, again, mind you, we do see where the 200-day EMA was at the level in December of 2018. This is at like almost 3,200, almost like $3,000 exact. They were kind of going off of the slight wick from September. Everyone was saying $3,000, $3,000. Bitcoin's coming down to $3,000. Guess what? It never happened. I do see these levels of 20-some K being the same exact levels of those points at 3K. It's almost like these same exact target points. They never come, they never got hit, and I foresee that still being the same exact target. So when we talk about 26K, 28K, even below 30K, I don't believe that we get that low. In fact, I think that we are going to put in a higher low from the candle from June, which was 28.8K. If anything, like I said, the lowest that I foresee us going is 35.5K. To continue that nice uptrend in terms of a higher low scenario, I think that that is more so probable. Now let's talk about a few things, and let's talk about possible wicks down, and let's talk about why I foresee those targets getting hit. So in terms of the US dollar, I am still continuously watching this chart, specifically because we are still gaining momentum. We are still seeing a lot of strength around the US dollar. In fact, we're seeing a lot more strength than I would like to see on the US dollar. And I've told you guys that we've just been waiting for this to actually collapse and fall. We are seeing some sideways momentum here, not too much, moving up, if you will. Again, there's still a lot of strength here, and it looks like we are trying to build a nice little floor, if you will, up here in terms of support. But, we've also seen this happen back in March of 2020 as well. When we got to the top, we had, two significant candles, one green, one red, and then one green a little bit, and then we had that collapsing fall. If we look at the current view on the US dollar, we kind of have that same exact pattern being printed, where we have that nice green, nice red, green candle. From here, I would actually like to see the start of the collapse. So something like this in terms, and I know that I'm changing the scenario a little bit. I get that, but this is what I would like to foresee happening right now on the US dollar, is us actually having that topping point and us to fall, which would push the markets a little bit. But we need to also talk about some bearish factors around Bitcoin currently, because this is not the only bearish factor in terms of the US dollar. Let's talk about why I can foresee a lot of those bids happening or being hit on Bitcoin. So first off, shout out to Credible Crypto for this, but he is talking about 36K here. Guess who decided to make an appearance? Bids layered right under our last local low and into that demand zone mentioned in prior tweets around 36K. This entity, assuming it's the same one, has had a pretty high rate or hit rate of getting bids filled. Let's see, Bitcoin. Now, I actually want to talk to you guys about something. So this Bitcoin address is the number 3 largest holder of Bitcoin. Now, I'm going to be talking to you guys about their selling positions. So first off, we come down here and we see that they just took a sell-off position. Roughly 1,500 Bitcoin, worth roughly $57.9 million. Now they sold this on the 29th at roughly a price of 38.6K. Now, I'm not going to say anything. All I'm going to do is go back on the daily here and actually show you guys something. So again, if we go back to that specific date, just mind you, the 29th, and we look at where we were on the 29th. So we actually came up to test about 38, roughly 0.7K before coming down and wicking as low as about 37.4K the next day. Now we are seeing a nice little spike up to roughly almost like 39K on Bitcoin. We're kind of just ranging here. Now, the reason why I bring up this wallet and the reason why I bring up the sell-off is because we've seen a sell-off on the 19th as well, at roughly a price of 41.5K. Now, mind you, this was on the 19th. So let's go back to the 19th. So here we have the 19th. They sold roughly around like this range up here. And then we've seen that massive capitulation event, and we're kind of still in that downtrend. They started to add in a few. They actually bought over 1,800 Bitcoin. You can actually see where they were buying at, 39.3, 40.5, 39.4 as well, almost 39.5. Now, the last time that they actually sold prior to this 19th date was actually around the 4th of April. They actually sold this at about 46.4K. The reason why I'm bringing up these sells is because even if we go back in time to look at all of these trades, you could tell that they were selling at around the local tops during these trade patterns. Even if we go back in time to, for example, let's go back to November, right? So November 8th, they sold on November 8th. We can go back to look at this, by the way. Now, this is something fairly interesting. This is why I say, to pay attention to this wallet. Shout out to Encrypt30 for putting me onto this wallet, by the way, as well. But here is November 8th. Now, they sold on November 8th at about 67.5K. 67.5K was basically the top of this candle, and you do see exactly what happened after this. We came down as far as roughly 32, almost 33K exact. This wallet is a perfect wallet address to watch for in terms of sell-offs and buys. I'm waiting to see a buy pattern on this because they just lastly took profit on this, which tells me we most likely will see those bids be filled at around roughly the 35.5K zone to possibly like the 36K zone to have a perfect short in place for us. Now, if we go lower, we go lower, but in my opinion, I do foresee us having that bottoming point already in. I think that we are near our local bottom. If anything, if we do break the 37K point, we don't go down too much lower from here. But the reason why I bring this up and the reason why I talk about this in terms of a Bitcoin nuke, right? So even if we come down to test the bottom range of this, this is roughly an 8.34% drop. Now, at this current moment in time, Bitcoin dominance is rising in strength, which means your altcoins, when we do see that slight pullback, are going to take a deeper hit. I've said this in terms of even XRP and a few of my other altcoin holdings to watch to see if this 200-day EMA is going to break, specifically on XRP. So if we see this broken EMA, we will most likely test as low as roughly 50 cents to possibly even test in the demand zone of roughly like 42 cents. Now, again, this would be roughly, it should be in the range of like 16%. So to test the bottom of this candle, it's about like a 16% almost. It's 15.34. If we test lower, I mean, this is like a 30% correction. I wouldn't say a 30% correction is intact for us. We most likely tested those demand zones from the summertime, which would be about 16%. Everyone will be calling for 40 cents at this time. I don't see us going down, to like the 40 cent range on XRP. A few other altcoins will get absolutely murdered. We are talking more so about Hbar here. So again, if we're talking about like almost 16%, this is where that 11.5 cent bid gets filled. I foresee this happening. In fact, I think that a lot of these altcoins are in a perfect position to kind of ready your capital to inflow. I did buy over the weekend. Did I feel confident about it? Yeah, 100%. I think that we are still near our local bottoms in terms of a lot of altcoins, and I will most likely buy if the dips are there to buy. XLM. Again, very similar case to XRP, except guess what? This is actually near its bottoming points. So the only point to really kind of test now is those demand zones. Now, the demand zone here would be roughly the bottom of this candle here, which would be about almost 17%. If we don't go to 17%, then hey, that's totally fine. But I foresee, around this range being targeted perfectly on XLM, which would be roughly around like almost 18-19%, which is totally fine because there hasn't been a lot of buy volume on XLM anyways. So I could actually foresee this dipping a little bit more than like Hbar and XLM. QNT. Now QNT, this one's going to be a juicy buy for those individuals wanting to get in on a cheap bid. So here we have the price range. Now, mind you, these targets are not guaranteed to happen. I'm just saying in terms of, seeing if we do get these bids filled, this is going to be something pretty interesting. So roughly a 16% drop would bring us to around almost $80 some. If we test $80 exact, that's going to be a perfect range to buy in. Again, we have to look at the daily candles for some of these because you can kind of see exactly where this would be. So let me come down just to get 16% exact almost, or try to get 16 exact. All right, so I'm not going to be able to get 16 exact. But you can pretty much see where this would be. It's going to be roughly around, let me actually throw on a horizontal line just so that we have reference. So in fact, when we look at this level that we could be testing, you could see exactly why this would be a possible test. It is a demand range from June, where we did see a lot of demand on this. Also, look at where we came down to wick on July. This would be a perfect buy point. By the way, I'm just going to say it right now. A lot of these targets are actually main support zones that not a lot of people are watching for, that are continuously saying, we're in a bear market because altcoins are absolutely dying. Guys, we're testing major support zone. Even on XLM, you know, if we go back to the weekly candles here, you know, again, that support range, if we come down to just, we'll just say 16% just for the sake of, you know, all of them kind of being identical almost. So that's as close as to 16% that I'm probably going to get in terms of a fast range here. So we could see where this demand range would be on XLM. Like I've said, we could probably come down a little bit further in terms of some test, but you can see the demand range from, sorry, let me get this, here we go, sorry. So you could see where this wicked down to back here in November of 2020. It almost wicked down perfectly onto this range, which was at that time the 10-day EMA. This is why I foresee a lot of these targets being hit and targeted. That's why I'm saying, you know, prepare for, you know, anything. You know, could we have a massive pump out of this range on Bitcoin? 100%. But I'm watching this wallet closely, because if we do see that, you know, retest of, you know, possibly 35.5K to like 36K, then a lot of those altcoins are going to take a little bit of a hit. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.